we doing? I don't normally talk on these videos, but here we are. So, like I was saying, we got the Ridetech front and rear suspension setup for Foxbodies. SN cars also, I believe. The front uses SLA setup, getting rid of the McPherson strut. And the rear has this really trick IRS setup that offers a little bit more clearance than using, say, like an 03 Cobra IRS in the rear. That Bondo. Holy. First, I'm doing shock towers. A little shock tower repair because they're 8 out. Both sides. Somebody before me glued these panels, our fender aprons in, Scott Rod deals, and just used regular adhesive. They did not use panel bond or anything or weld them. So it all cracked out. So this has a built 5.2, built 10-speed with a Gen 5 Whipple. And we just got the front and rear Ridetech SLA and rear IRS kit for Foxbodies. There's the rear cradle. We got an iron diff torsion out of a S550, and we have an aluminum one. Limited slip, I believe, out of the automatic cars. The old 3-inch exhaust is off, but it won't work because we need Cobra stuff for the IRS. I'll get into installing this stuff, but here's everything. I don't know, $8,000–$10,000 worth of suspension. I'll go ahead and set this up and start showing you what we're doing. Right now I'm getting ready to remove this rear end and start on it. Had to remove the K Designs kit in the rear because everything was blocked to get to the upper shock bolts, but I'll quit talking and show you what we're working with. Okay, got this car up in the air. I'm going to flip it around and kind of show you what we're doing, just to prep the stuff before we start installing the rear IRS. So just like any other Foxbody, you need to do your shocks, upper lower control arms, brake lines, and it's pretty simple after that. I believe the directions say we got to, let's see if I can't turn a light on here. Yeah, I guess not. Directions say we got to cut some of this control arm upper torque box out, remove the snubbers, which looks like we might already have them off. It's just your basic Foxbody stuff. Shocks, control arms, brake lines, and this rear end will be on the ground, and we can get started on doing the rear IRS. Alright, kind of got caught up and forgot to show what I was doing. Rear end's obviously out. We had to take off the axle snubber bracket, this big mount, and then the gussets right here. It's still on the other side. I can show you what that looks like real quick. So the axle snubber has already been took off on this one. I just took an air chisel, ran up next to it, cut it. I'm gonna grind it back. These gussets right here also have to be cut straight back, and then we're going to take this and run it up at a 45, and we're going to take this and run it back to about right there. There's a seam on that inner wheel tub, and then we'll cut that, and then this gets bent according to the instructions. It gets hammered and bent back to look like the other side. All this gusseting will be gone, and we'll bounce back over to the other side. Gotta show you what I'm saying. So this cut went from about here over on each side, and then I did a 45, and then we're supposed to hammer this back flange all the way back. Still have a little piece left right here to get off, but otherwise that's what the directions call for. Check back in a second. Too much.
Deals are trending with 50 to 60% off at Old Navy right now. For more, here's...
Alright, some time's passed. Got the IRS cradle in. It's a little challenging, I'm not going to lie. An extra set of hands is probably going to be wanted or useful. Make sure you get those front lower control arm bolts with the locators located. They got a little step-up lip on them that kind of sets everything where it's supposed to be. And make sure the cradle is where it's supposed to be when you do your center punching, so it's exactly where it's supposed to be. Because the riv nuts, they have zero room for error, so be very sure that you get that how it's supposed to be. I'll walk around and show you a couple videos of it. You got to start with the upper control arms, get them centered. Another little trick, they wait until you have this up here to tell you to put these bolts through for the cradle or for the diff, because the fuel tank's in the way. Go ahead and slide them up before you do it. Otherwise, this is kind of what it looks like once it's located and riv nutted. There's a bunch up there. Definitely going to want another set of hands to help you. And getting ready to do the IRS differential actual pumpkin, if you want to call it that, right now. How we doing? We're back. Got all this put on. I'm going to show you just a few more things that the people at Ridetech could maybe change in their directions, because it's easier to not follow them, but until you know what's going on, you kind of got to. So I'll go over that, just a few more. So we got all this stuff on, which is the axle, the diff, spindle, and the hub. It's all just still loose. They tell you to put these steering arms on for the tie rods on the bench when you do the hubs. It's got these little inserts, you bolt them on, but then it makes it a lot harder to get to the fucking castle nut for the lower ball joint. So you can take these back off, or you can just wait to put them on, get it all together and tighten the ball joints, put the cotter pins on, put these on. Same thing with putting the actual bolts for the cradle. Put them up in there before you slide this up in here if your tank's in. Otherwise, it's a pain in the ass to get them in. There's another thing or two I just can't remember. But we'll go over it. We got the tie rods built. Axles are in, like I said. Everything's together, just waiting on the brakes. I'll show you some pictures with a 15 by 9 3/3 wheel off a S550. The fitment is pretty money. I mean, this thing tucks up in there with one of those wheels. I also have a 15 by 10 bead lock I'm about to put together and throw on with a smaller drag radial, I think a 255, but it's a 6.3 inch backspace, I believe. But one of the other things I was telling you about, that they tell you to trim all this out like this, and then once you get it all together, they're like, oh, by the way, we noticed that there's interference, so go ahead and cut this back more. They wait until the end of the book. Just when you're doing this trimming, just go ahead and cut this basically over to this corner, more or less straight down, or the book shows it where they take it up to about here and then square it off, whichever. That's another thing to save you some time on. Yeah, otherwise it's going pretty smooth. Came over to this side because we can see a little bit better. This is what I was talking about. It's going to need trimmed out more according to the very last page of the book. Just do it in the beginning, because they know it's an issue, because they go, oh, by the way, we noticed this was going to be an issue. I could have just said that from the get-go. Basically, the bolts for the diff, slide them suckers up in there so they're just laying there. Also put the sleeves in before they're You even put the bolts for the diff in because it's just no reason to wait, really. The directions are a little weird, but they're doable. Their packaging, they label everything good, but not all the part numbers match. But they also like to put stuff for the rear of the car, like these longer steering arm bolts, in with a package that I if I'm not mistaken, it's for the front suspension, but it will say steering arm knuckle to spindle, you know. And then just whoever did the directions, they could write it just slightly better or tell you to do a few tricks or tips along the way. I'm sure the guys that designed it would know that because they've installed them, and I know that they're running into the same little issues that they're like, oh, that would be easier if we did this. So once these brakes come in, I got the S550 brake adapters, but for now, since we bought 2 of these Ridetech kit, front and rears for 2 different cars, I don't know, it's probably $22,000, we are going to go with the Cobra brakes that come on like the 94 up SN cars, because we already got them. I ordered a new set for the front and rear. I'm just waiting for that to show up, and then I'll get it on